Welcome to Second Chance Youth Ranch TV. On this show, Every Child Arkansas director Shayne Baker's with us, and you don't want to miss his story. We'll be right back. Welcome to Second Chance Youth Ranch TV. I'm Perry Black, and on this show we have a very special guest. Some of you may remember Shayne when he was here before, but Shayne Baker, who is the director of Every Child Arkansas, which is a dynamic program here in this state that we want to introduce you to. So Shayne, welcome to the show, and we're so glad to have you with us again.
Thank you.
And maybe somebody didn't see the previous show, so let's get to know you a little bit and tell us a little bit about you, or a whole lot about you. Married? Are you a Christian? Do you go to church? Do you love Jesus? You know, fill in all the blanks.
All right. Yes, I am married for 32 years.
32.
We were high school sweethearts, and we are Christians. Our whole family. We have 4 children. We have our oldest daughter is a librarian. We have our middle daughter is a school teacher in Van Buren, and our son is a church planter in Florida, in Winter Haven, Florida.
So you just kind of like take a little church, put it in the ground, you water that, and it just grows, huh?
He's
a church
kind of
planter.
the plan, yeah.
My dad wanted to be a truck farmer, but he couldn't get the trucks to grow. That's actually,
root, right?
That's sort of a joke. He really did want to do truck farming, but he is a tremendous farmer. He could grow anything.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Well, I wish I
So,
had that.
high school sweethearts.
Mm-hmm.
So you didn't get married in high school.
No, after a couple of years of college. And,
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Tell us about college then.
Went to Arkansas State University for a few years and did medical laboratory technology there, but then went to Washita.
Medical
Baptist.
laboratory.
Yes, sir.
So were you
worked in a lab in the hospital,
Yeah.
and then for doctors' offices.
So were you a lab tech?
Lab tech. Mm-hmm.
What did you do? Spin blood?
Spin blood, test it, all that kind of good
That's
stuff.
what my brother-in-law did.
Oh, is that right?
Still does, I guess. He's probably retired because he's a tiny bit older than you.
Oh, okay. Then I went, just followed God's calling to prepare for full-time ministry and went to Washita Baptist University. And
So did you major at ASU in Jonesboro?
Yes.
Lab?
I did. I majored in lab, actually got an MLT degree, which is an associate's degree, but then worked for several doctor's offices around Searcy.
And then off to OBU.
Off to OBU.
At that time, were you married by the time you made to OBU?
I was married there and had our first daughter.
So tell us about your wife. Did she go to ASU as well?
She did. She didn't finish her degree, but she just decided to stay home with the kids, and she did that for several years. And now she works. Every Child Arkansas is an initiative through Restore Hope Arkansas.
Okay.
Paul Chapman. And so she actually was one of the first few employees for Restore Hope. She did alternative sentencing and now is the area director or area trainer for the 100 Families initiative.
100 families. So we're really going to talk about Every Child Arkansas, but I'm curious about your wife and that journey too. So tell me a little bit about that. Did she go to OBU since y'all were married? Did she attend there as well?
She did not. She finished an early childhood degree at Morrilton at the school there.
So was she a school teacher?
She had a daycare for several years.
Very cool.
Yeah, and then she just kind of moved right into this position and has been an advocate for families in White County, is where we live in Searcy.
So how does a lab tech go from Jonesboro to OBU to some form of ministry? If I remember right, didn't you pastor a church maybe in Searcy or somewhere?
I have actually pastored for several years. Actually, when I was working in the lab, I was the youth pastor at First Baptist Church in Kensett, Arkansas, which is right outside of Searcy.
So the pastoring thing, is that why you have gray hair?
Yes, sir. You know that.
I used to have a full head of hair like Elvis 33 years ago before I started this church.
That's right. It happens quick, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does happen. So tell us then how you made the move into the ministry. Were you a volunteer youth minister at Kensett?
I was actually part-time paid youth minister there, and
we're all part-time paid.
Right, that's exactly right.
Full-time job.
That's right. No such thing as a part-time job.
No.
And so while at Kensett, I just really felt like God was calling me to prepare, for full-time ministry, and so that's when I went back to Washita.
And then you pastored at some point?
I did. Went from Washita to Hope, where I was associate pastor there at Calvary Baptist Church in Hope, and then moved to back to Searcy. and then to Paragould, which I spent quite a bit of time in
Greene
Paragould.
County.
Yes, sir.
See, I'm a Jonesboro guy.
Oh, okay.
Got out of the Army as well. I grew up in Jonesboro, moved to Little Rock when I was 14.
Okay.
And then when I got out of the Army, I had been accepted in Missouri to get an early drop from the military. And so I got home. My sister was dating a guy that I knew from Jonesboro, and he said, well, if you need a place to stay, then you can stay with me for a while. So I ended up right out of the Army going right back to ASU.
Okay.
Attended there during the Craig O'Neill years. You remember
yes.
Craig from Channel 11?
Mm-hmm.
He and I went to high school together, and he was in the broadcasting department there at ASU along with Roger Bumpus, who was Squidward on SpongeBob.
Oh, is that right? I didn't know.
Yeah, I went to school with those guys.
Okay.
You know, people say, do you know them? I say, no, they know me.
That's right.
You know, my claim to fame is I know a lizard or a squid or whatever Roger is. So you made the move then to full-time ministry, and then your wife, was she already involved in that other aspect of ministry, the 100 family?
Well, she was doing some work with them, but volunteer work. And then a friend of ours knew about Paul Chapman and him starting the ministry for alternative sentencing.
Yeah.
And so they just need someone basically just meeting families in the courtroom. And she did that and did a really good job. And so Paul kind of moved her along, and she was one of the first 3 county coordinators for 100 families.
Yeah. So you have 3 children? Is that what I?
We have 4.
4 children.
We have 3 older, and then we have a 15-year-old daughter at home, and she was adopted out of foster care. So
way to go.
Yeah, and she's one of our pride and joy. So
before we get into that, then tell our audience in a minute and 20 seconds, what's it like being an adoptive family, and how old was your daughter when you adopted her? She's 15 now.
She's 15.
Tell us about that journey.
Okay. She came to live with us when she was 4 years old, and she lived with us for a little while. She was removed from her mother's home and came to our house. And then they tried a trial placement with her father, and that didn't work out very well, so she came back to us. And then finally, we adopted her officially when she was 7 years old. Wow. And so she's actually been with us since she was 5 without leaving. So.
Well, what's it like having a teenage daughter?
Well, I thought I was through with the teenage years, but it has been it's been great. She's not much of a trouble at all. She's really
grade?
9th grade, yes sir, in Searcy High School, and she's doing really, really well. She's a good student, and she has really good friends.
So obviously, y'all still live in the Searcy, Kensett area.
Mm-hmm. We live in Searcy.
So you drove in today to be on the show?
I did. I actually had to go to Little Rock today as well, so doing both today.
We're going to take a brief break here in just a minute. I want people to know that Second Chance Ranch is a therapeutic foster care placement agency,
right,
et cetera, et cetera. And we want people to know that fostering, mentoring, and adopting will change lives.
That's right.
And we're going to take a break and be right back. Hi, I'm Perry Black, right here at Arkansas Christian Academy. Are you looking for a private, fully accredited Christian school for your children? Christian education has never, ever been more affordable than it is right now. Why don't you contact us right here at Arkansas Christian Academy and schedule a tour? There's all kinds of activities for your student as well as educational opportunities, and you don't want to miss out. So we look forward to seeing you right here at Arkansas Christian Academy. God bless. Welcome back to Second Chance Youth Ranch TV. Our special guest is Shayne Baker with Every Child Arkansas. Tell us now, Shayne, we know all about you and your family, an adoptive 15-year-old daughter, and the joys of parenting. Mm-hmm. Shall we talk about that or just go to something else?
May go to something else. It'll be all right.
What is it like being a pastor, being a dad of 4, married 30 plus years?
Yeah.
Who gets the credit? People say, Pastor, you get credit for that. I say, no, I don't get credit. I take cash. What do you take? Tell us about how God has played a role in your life, your family, your journey of faith, and now into Every Child Arkansas.
Okay. Well, I always tell people that I was such an introvert when I was growing up and everything that people that I grew up with would have never thought that I was a pastor and being able to get up and preach and all that. But and so I have to give all that credit to God, and Jesus really works through my shortcomings, and that's how he gets the glory.
So people are watching going, this guy pastors, he's got teenagers, he's got a successful marriage. So you've probably been a Christian since you were a baby. That's not possible, but tell me about when you came to faith.
Actually, my wife and I started dating when I was 15. She was 16, and so I started going.
Older women do.
I guess I do. Yeah.
Okay.
At least one.
Yeah.
But so we started going to church together, or I started going to church with her and her family, and got really close to the pastor, and he led me to Christ on a Tuesday night visitation in my home when he was trying to get my parents to come to church.
Yeah.
And I
did
realized,
that work out?
It did for a while.
Yeah.
It did. But that night I realized my need for Christ in my life. So 15 years old.
Overwhelming majority of young people come to faith, or people in general come to faith before 18.
Mm-hmm.
And we as a church, the body of Christ, we need to be more diligent and intentional in making sure that they remain connected to their faith as they go off to college and into adulthood.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So how'd you make that journey then to Every Child Arkansas? So
since my wife was working with Restore Hope, we actually were on vacation and came back, and Paul Chapman had been leaving lots of messages on my phone, and so he said, we've been battling for weeks thinking of somebody that we could get involved in Every Child Arkansas, somebody that knows the church language, has been a foster parent and an adoptive parent, and he said, you fit that bill, would you be interested in talking to us? And I was serving as the associate pastor at Valley Baptist Church in Searcy at the time, and didn't want to really leave there, but really felt God's leadership in this role as I talked to Paul and then Phil Goad, who was he's kind of the one who put Every Child Arkansas together.
So I think some people are probably watching. We've mentioned Restore Hope several times. Mm-hmm. Tell us just briefly about that so we can kind of understand the connection of Restore Hope, Every Child Arkansas, Dr. Phil Goad, et cetera.
Okay. Restore Hope was started several years ago after Asa Hutchinson actually called in a group of people from Central Arkansas to discuss some of the big problems in the community. And one of the biggest problems was that he had inherited one of the fastest growing prison populations in the country. And so something had to happen, and so he actually tasked a group of, a lot of them were faith-based folks. There were pastors, like Paul Chapman was a missions pastor at the time. And so they drew up a plan for what they called alternative sentencing and some other things that would go along with that, and that's basically where Restore Hope was born. A little later, because foster care is so directly related to prison, adults going into prison, then Paul and Phil Goad hooked up and started to talk about Every Child Arkansas. Phil had it on his heart. He's a CASA worker, a volunteer, and so this is something that he started to connect people to.
And Dr. Goad, tell us a little bit about him so people have a reference as to what prompted him to establish Every Child Arkansas.
Okay, as a CASA volunteer, he really just developed a passion for it, and then he met a lot of people. He got involved with CAFO, which is Christian Alliance for Orphans, and he was became a senior advisor for them. Christian Alliance for Orphans is an international ministry now.
Based out of the West Coast, I think?
It's actually based, it actually started in Arkansas.
Oh, it did?
And now they're based, their guys all work basically mobily, but we work with Jason Weber, who's from Texas and from around the Dallas area. And so through his connections with CAFO, and then he started to learn about the organizations in Arkansas. He was a supporter of the Call, and so he knew about the Call and knew about some of our other organizations, and so it just kind of flowed from there for him.
What's the mission statement? Plan? What's the goal of Every Child Arkansas?
We want to provide more than enough for families and children, and before, beyond, and during foster care. And so we want to try to provide the resources needed for foster families and also the biological families, because one of our network partners would be 100 families, and so they provide for the biological families. And then we have so many organizations like Second Chance Ranch and the Call and Arkansas Baptist Children and Family Services and Compact and so many more who are doing great work in foster care around. So our partnership with them helps to provide all of the the resources and the training.
So as part of Every Child Arkansas, part of the plan is to prevent kids from leaving the family coming into care by being a support network for them, and then if kids come into care, help them be restored to the family by
Yes, sir.
providing that network?
That's absolutely correct. Yeah. And this year has been, the kind of been celebrating with our Division of Children and Family Services, because the numbers in foster care are down pretty dramatically this year because of a lot of the preventative services. And we're still hoping to, we still have to recruit a lot of foster homes. Yeah. That's always going to be at our forefront, because with Every Child Arkansas, the two things that we really focus on are recruitment of foster homes and the retention of foster homes. We lose almost 70% of our foster homes every year.
Yeah, we lose them almost as fast as we can recruit. 40 seconds. So tell me, what is part of the plan to retain foster parents? What's maybe one of the keys that we're missing?
That's what we're working with a lot of our network partners to try to develop things. We even had the opportunity this year to work with the governor's office. She wrote an executive order for child welfare last February, and we were given the opportunity to be able to implement some of the things that she wanted to do. And in some of that are several different programs that we're trying to do for retention of foster families.
Yeah. So if you have interest in fostering, mentoring, adopting, or how you can be involved as a volunteer or part of the support network, we'd love to hear from you, and I know Shayne would as well. So we're going to take a break. We'll be right back.
I don't remember this, but I was in foster care as a baby, and my mom just needed that time and that wake up call to get her stuff together, and now she's one of my best friends, and that's what I pray for these families. And sometimes it doesn't end that way for everyone, but I think God still works in that and rewrites stories for kids and can break cycles through the love that these families are providing children.
We were in a situation where in the county that we lived in, there was a need for foster parents. There was 80 children in need for foster care, and there was 3 beds in that county. And that was kind of an eye-opening thing for me, because there is a reality in our area and where we live that there are children that do not have an opportunity to be safe, to be warm, and to be loved. They just don't.
Foster care is hard. But it's a very important thing, and these kids that are in hard situations and their families that are broken, they deserve for people to care about them. And so we want to partner with foster families, and we want to come alongside kids and biological families, because this work is important. We just want to encourage families who want to be obedient to that call to serve.
A PLPA is a privately licensed placement agency, and what that means is that we partner with DCFS to help open, train, license foster families, and then we work on matching them with the best placement.
We provide placement services for foster children in the state of Arkansas. So most people would compare us to DCFS, the Department of Children and Family Services, in terms of our function. But the role really is for us to assist the department. We're working in partnership with them when they need placement for children in the state of Arkansas to find eligible, screened, approved foster homes for the placement of those children.
So when a child first comes into foster care, we will get a phone call or an email, and DCFS will ask us if we have an open home. So then our team will look and see what openings we have, what criteria those families are looking for, and whether or not we feel that those children or that child would be a good match. And then if we think it's a possible match, all hands on deck.
I'm there, I'm asking what they need, I'm retrieving that, whether that means getting backpacks for them, helping them get registered for school. I help them set up appointments, initial appointments for PCP, for eye doctors, dental appointments. Sometimes that means I take kids to appointments, and that can relieve a lot of pressure off of the foster parents.
Once we were opened, they provide so much support. We have a case manager that's in our home, weekly to monthly. We'll have a therapist assigned to our home. We've even gone on play dates with our therapist, and everybody jokes, but it's really cool how it's not just they're removed and just kind of trying to help from afar. I mean, they really are. They're here, they're with us, and it's a good support system.
They can help us, with taking our kids here, setting up doctor's appointments. And so it's just, they kind of help us do what we do and give us the opportunity to do it better.
You know, we chose the PLPA because they field every bit of the placement phone calls. And so we don't get every single phone call or text that comes in regarding foster placements. Those all go to the PLPA, who they know each of their individual homes. They know what type of placements would thrive and do well in our home, and which ones wouldn't.
If you're interested in foster care and being a foster parent, I encourage you just to take that leap of faith and step out and apply and find out more. There are people who are wanting to come alongside you and tell you about the process and what it looks like and answer all your burning questions, and just come alongside you and support you to help you just be the most successful foster parent that you can be and help you as you love on kids who need it.
Arkansas's private licensed placement agencies include Compact, Family Ministries, Children's Homes Incorporated, Connected Foster Care and Adoptions, Southern Christian Children's Home, Second Chance Youth Ranch, and Sparrow's Promise. To find an agency that's right for you, please visit everychildarkansas.org.
Hey, welcome back. So let's just kind of regress a little bit, and we're going to talk about what's the plans for Every Child Arkansas and what people can do. Tell us again how you became a foster parent so people can kind of just grasp, oh, I've thought about that since I was young, but I just don't know how.
I was actually serving as the senior pastor at First Baptist Church in Charleston, Arkansas, which is right outside of Fort Smith at the time. And we had a family that started visiting the church. The children were, we knew that there was some issues in the home, that there was food insufficiencies and things like that. And so we started taking food to the family. And then we found out that the family had been reported to DHS. And so they were going to remove the children. And so we applied to be fictive kin, which is if you have a relationship with a child who's going into foster care and they knew you and you knew them, you knew the family, then you don't have to necessarily be kin to them, but fictive kin is that kind of relationship.
I don't know why they chose that word.
I know.
Do you?
I don't know where that word came from.
I saw that recently on one of our posts at Second Chance Ranch, and I had to go look up the definition myself. So tell us, rather than use the term fictive kin, which is confusing to me, and I'm an adult, explain to us what exactly that is again.
Okay. Most of the time that's going to be like a teacher, a coach. It can be a pastor. It could, a Sunday school teacher even. It could be somebody that's just developed a relationship with that child. And that is really, one of the first things that they're going to look for when a child comes into care is a kinship family or somebody that they already know, that they can place that.
Preferably uncle, aunt, grandma, grandpa. If that's not available or not suitable, then it's somebody that child already has some relationship with that they can immediately begin to build and support and network with.
So even though they've been removed from their family, maybe they can keep from being moved from their community. And,
so that's kind of how y'all became actually adoptive parents.
That was the step that got us going in that direction. But through that process, they didn't let us do that because they moved them with a family member. But they actually talked us into going through training because there was such a need in Western Arkansas was at that time one of the largest numbers of children in foster care in the country.
What was your mindset though when you said, oh, I don't know if we can, we have children of our own, I don't know if we can afford this, I don't know all the complexities of it. What was all that went on in your head that they were able to walk you through, and did you have a support network?
We did. Actually, the church became a big part of our support network. And we actually, 2 families that were our support system became adopted parents later on as well, and adopted children out of foster care. But we just saw the need in that area, and we started talking to some folks that had been involved with foster care. And my wife was just really had a heart for it. She was the one that really had the passion for it first, and she really wanted to help the families, try to make the families whole while we had the children in our home, but to be able to work. And we did have that opportunity. The families got to come to our church after, they passed a certain point in their process. And so we got to know the families really well.
So I think our viewers are probably hearing that there's many opportunities to make a difference in the lives of hurting children and hurting families. All of our number one goal is restoration of the family. It's not the family's under attack.
Right.
So tell us, what are the goals now, and how can people that are viewing, how can they be involved and engaged through Every Child of Arkansas, and what can y'all provide that will kind of help them make this process easier, spirit, soul, and body?
Well, one of the things that we bring to the table as Every Child Arkansas is we network together with those that I've already mentioned.
How many are in the network
We
now?
have 28 in our network right now, and 7 of those are private license and placement agencies like Second Chance Youth Ranch. And so we promote them because that is one of the goals of our DHS and DCFS, is that most of our children will go into private placement in those, because they tend to get better care in the private placement, because they get an extra case manager, they get counseling services usually through those and those types of things. So we're promoting our private license and placement agencies kind of up front right now, try to get the message out, because it's confusing to a lot of people. They don't realize that a private license and placement agency also takes foster children from the state, and so that is a message that we're trying to get out. And we do have a video that we might could share with you guys about that.
So you got a website?
Everychildarkansas.org, and on everychildarkansas.org is our portal, and people who are interested in going into becoming foster parents can go to that portal, and they can actually even choose organizations that they would like to work with through that portal.
Have links for all 28 organizations that are all over the state of Arkansas, not just Central.
Right, all over the state, from Texarkana all the way to Paragould and all over. And so, they can do that, or even if they're not able to become foster parents at the time, there is also a volunteer portal.
Is there any financial support for someone who says, I do go through the process, I'd like to open my home? Is there something to help with food, clothing, anything?
Every foster child that comes through the state, they do get a board payment, and every foster family gets, I'm not really sure what it is right now, but it's a little over $500 a month per child. And that does help a little.
There's a case study process and all that, and I'm sure many organizations like Second Chance Youth Ranch, we don't just give you a child. We train you, equip you, the child or children into your home, and then we're there to support with our case managers and our clinical staff, and then Billy and Rachel and the whole ranch staff, they're all there. And if anyone has any questions, they can contact you, they can contact us.
Right.
If they go on your website, we're on there as well.
Yes, absolutely.
And you need to contact and get involved. You got about 45 seconds. Tell folks out here, this is a Christian television show, so what can they do for you guys? Do y'all take donations? You're a 501c3?
We do, but we really promote our network partners more than we do. Because anything that we get in is we try to put back into our network partners. There is a place on our everychild.org site to give, and so if anybody wants to do that, but we really exist to promote our network partners. And that's what we want to do. But we're in need of foster families. If you've been thinking about it, go to the portal and you can sign up, and it'll be great.
So there's no reason why you should be watching this show and not contacting us or Every Child Arkansas and getting involved, changing lives one heart at a time. See you next week. Bye-bye.